It's Gamelab 2016, so 1 year has passed since we last interviewed Rami here in Spain. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me again.
So, what have you been doing in this past year?
Well, the biggest thing is we've been releasing Nuclear Throne, which was our latest game. We were working on it last year already, but it released in December. It went really well. It was very well received. It sold well. People loved the game. Yeah, the community has been phenomenal. We even have people making mods for the game. There's somebody who made a multiplayer mod for the game, so you can now play it online, which we never programmed. Somebody actually went and programmed that for us, kinda. So, yeah, it's been an amazing year. Lots of travel, lots of seeing the world, but also lots of just making games and seeing how people play the game. So it's been a really good year for us.
We actually loved the game as well at Gamereactor. I mean, graphics, audio, balance, the level, generation. Found a bit too difficult at times.
It is a very difficult game. Yeah, I think at the core of Vlambeer games very often is a sense of mastery. You know, like we want games that you're bad at when you start, so that you can get better at them as you go. And I think that feeling of developing a skill at something is something that both of us really enjoy. So Nuclear Throne is definitely built around that. Most people get stuck in the third world for a few weeks, and then if they keep playing they will break through and then never get stuck there again, and then World 5, and then if you beat World 5 you can generally make it to the final boss. But yeah, I mean, I can't consistently beat it. Like I die frequently in the early parts of the game, so it's not as if it's uncommon for people to say that it's hard. I think it's hard, but it's part of the fun of it.
What's next for the game? Are you planning on keeping updating it, and perhaps there is an Xbox One version?
So we're looking at all those things. There's definitely updates coming. They're not major updates like they used to be. They're usually bug fixes and balancing fixes, but we think Nuclear Throne is in a very good spot as it is. We're pushing out a PlayStation and PlayStation Vita patch soon, and we're still looking to release on PlayStation 3. Xbox, we are in negotiations with Microsoft, but I have to admit that they haven't really moved all that much in the last few months. So we've been trying. It's just kind of been stuck in bureaucracy would be the right word. So we'll see what happens there. I would love to have it on Xbox. I mean, I have both the PlayStation and Xbox under my TV, and nothing would make me happier than to have my game on both of those devices. But we also kind of have to be realistic, and as creatives, we are excited about, doing new things and new projects instead of more of the same thing. So if we don't get those negotiations with Microsoft rolling again really soon, then it might just be too late for us to do that. So I don't know. I hope so. It's probably the best answer. It's not up to me at this point.
For those new things, what can we expect? What are you planning? What kind of new, I'm hoping, arcade, difficult ideas are you planning now?
I mean, there were a lot. After Nuclear Throne was done, me and JW, me and my co-founder, decided to not talk for a bit and get some rest, get some distance, have some time to reflect on Nuclear Throne and Vlambeer as a whole, because really since we got founded, since we started the studio, we've never had a holiday. So we decided to take some time and regroup, rethink, and it turns out both of us are really bad at not working. So JW spent a lot of his time prototyping a lot of new ideas, and I spend a lot of time thinking up new things to work on. So after we had our first meeting a few months ago, we had 20-ish prototypes to look at. So there's a lot of ideas. We're arguing about a lot of them. Some of them are not good. Some of them are really cool. So who knows? We don't have a new project yet, but we definitely have that creative. We have the creative energy to do something. So there'll be new stuff. Yeah, it's just we don't have a thing yet.
And for the new project, you're taking the same approach of having weekly streams, checking things with community all the time, doing all these updates weekly.
So it won't be as much as it was before. I think one thing we learned from Nuclear Throne is that while doing weekly updates and streaming twice a week is really, really fun and really cool for the community, it's also really bad for us. Like, it's exhausting and tiring, and it delayed Nuclear Throne. And when things got really tense at some point near release, when things get really busy, it turned out everybody on the team was exhausted, and we just hadn't really noticed that because it's been so much fun. So if we do it again, if we do that process again, and again it depends on the game. If it's a game with a story, it's much harder to do that than if it's a game without a story. If it's a roguelike, it's easier, so it kind of depends on the game. But if we're going to do the live streaming and the updates, we're probably going to do 2 weeks instead of 1 week, and then 1 stream a week and 1 update every 2 weeks. But again, it depends on the game. We might just not stream at all and just keep people updated through videos or something else, or just work on it traditionally. We don't know yet. That's one of the exciting things for me, is like we really get to redefine what we're doing and like find a new direction that is that's both familiar and fresh and fun. So
what else have you been doing, or are you planning on doing, in terms of helping other indie studios or collaborating with other teams?
I mean, Vlambeer does what we've always done, which is we try to support the ecosystem, the indie ecosystem worldwide. So we try to work with developers around the world. Both me and JW are traveling, meeting developers, trying to see if there are ways we can help or support or collaborate. And it's been super rewarding, and it's been really fun traveling around the world and seeing what people are doing and how different communities, do different things. Being here in Barca is super inspiring, and seeing the wealth of amazing games around here has, it's good to see, and it's really fun to see that the independent community as a whole is strong and growing and doing cool and weird stuff. So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to try and keep that idea of giving back. The indie community has given us so much, and it's been so good for us that we try to make sure that we give back more than we've taken. That's what we're gonna keep doing.
Now that you mentioned this indie showcase, last year you mentioned a couple of highlights, of personal highlights, or game that you loved playing or trying out last year. So for this year, is there anyone you would like to recommend taking a look at?
Ooh, there's a lot of them. I was really impressed by Guns and Boxes, which is a kind of Nuclear Throne-like 4-player multiplayer battle game. It's really fun. It feels really, really good. And then there's Solo, which seems to be sort of more meditative. It looks a bit like Zelda the Wind Waker, but it's really its own sort of story, its own sort of world. And it seems to be a very personal game, which is really, really nice. And it's gorgeous. And I played a game that was very disturbing called Agatha Knife. You play a 7-year-old girl that is also a butcher trying to found a religion. It's very odd and dark and disturbing, and there were moments where I didn't want to continue the game because it was kind of distressing. But I haven't played something like that. So it was like a moment where I was like, it's a point and click adventure. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see where this one goes. So I'm not sure where it's going, but I do know that it left an impression. So it's curious, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of games here. Honestly, most of the games that are here are definitely worth your time. Some of them are just phenomenal. So I look forward to playing some more Guns and Boxes.
Definitely take a look later. And closing one, with VR being one of the main topics here at Gamelab 2016, how do you think indie studios can take advantage of the new space?
I mean, this is what indie does best, right? And a new space appears, and this is where indies can really shine. It is a place where nothing has been established. The risks are too high for AAA to really go all in. And you can see that back at E3. Every AAA offering was kind of like a small version of a big IP trying to sell on brand name mostly. So having the indies this is a shot. This is an opportunity. If you're an independent developer and you're just starting out, it is the space you could look into just to get a name. Like, I don't know what the economics of it are going to be. I don't know if it's going to be financially successful. I don't even know if VR is going to like properly take off at this point, but I do know that this is a space where there is far less competition right now than anywhere else. And if you want to like stand out and you're working on something VR right now, you're in a good spot. If you have to get started on something VR right now, you might be too late already.
Would you like to give it a try? I don't know, perhaps some arcadey VR thing?
So I think anything. So the first thing I did when I got my VR dev kits was see if I could make people throw up, and yeah, I can. So I don't think I should make VR things. We have one old game that we made that we really want to see in VR because it kind of was a VR game before VR existed. So we might remake one of our games for VR for fun, but it's not going to be a big focus for Vlambeer. Like,
which one is it?
It was called Yeti Hunter. It's a game where you hunt a Yeti on a snow mountain, and it was very atmospheric and kind of creepy and kind of nice. So we feel like doing that in VR could be fun. So it'll be a very small thing. It'll probably cost us 2 or 3 weeks of work. So it'll just be a little exploration of working with VR in a way that doesn't make people throw up.
Thank you very much for your time, Rami. Enjoy Gamelab.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.